Tell the audience how cool you are.
That's a strong exaggeration.
Music. Roll the music. Welcome to the Dream Big podcast, where our goal is to find the biggest dreamers in the entire world and bring them on this podcast so you can learn lessons from them, what they did, how they got there. And I could not be more excited about this guest today. Others might call him a similar personality, a similar crazy guy like myself, a similar mattress nerd like myself. But Scott Smalling, welcome to the Dream Big podcast, baby. Let's go.
I can tell you how happy I am to be in Pueblo, Colorado.
Ooh, you had a slopper today for lunch?
I had a slopper for lunch.
Come on now.
I mean, you can't do better than that.
I could not be more honored to have you here today. You are, what I know of you, you are not only just a really big deal in this industry, but you are a super amazing human, a good family man.
Thank you.
A business
my
guy.
Wife listening?
You know, this guy is something special, and we hit it off from day one. Everybody that knows us was like, you guys got to meet each other. Y'all are both crazy lunatics, but y'all enjoy life a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, and it's been love at first sight ever since I've seen you. So I'm excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here. This is awesome. I mean,
let's go.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's go. And you are doing things to change the world. You've been in this industry for a long time and in a lot of different places in this industry. So let's start there. Tell us about you.
All right.
Let's go
all the way back.
Tell us your story, baby.
Yeah, it goes back to foam. Actually, is Grandpa started a foam. He was a bootstrapper back in the days when that may or may not have been a thing. Started a company called Industrial Rubber, which was a foam fabrication company. You take big buns of foam, you cut it up into pieces. And Dad took over, and I took over. When I took over, I was like, I want to do something that has my name on it, within the company. And so I looked at the mattress industry and I said, this is kind of a fun space to be. There's some brands out there that were back in the memory foam space. We'll be gentle. And I looked at what they were doing. I said, I think I can do something like this. So I started a brand called Comfortpedic back in 2003 to throw my hat in the ring. And we had a great run. There's other great people in the industry like Rick Vanderwood that you know very well. That
introduced us together. He's one of my mentors.
He's
a special human.
Superhuman being. And he actually joined our company at one point. Had a great run, created some new, different things for the industry. We helped create the foam technologies a little bit different, so it's a little bit easier to sleep on. And then had a very nice exit to Simmons. Sold our company to Simmons in 2007. And then I spent 8 years there kind of honing the craft around innovation. Did something really fun that I don't think you've heard about that I think you would really geek out on.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Let's go.
We had a road show. And it literally was taking a 53-foot, tractor trailer, and it was fully changed out into a showroom. 2 sliding glass doors, 6 flat screen TVs, 6 or 7. This is really kind of be a Snooze thing. Actually,
nice.
You got to think about this. And literally took it on the road. We did this for 4 years. Of course, we took breaks. And we traveled 100,000 miles, and we would launch the new products coming out, Comfortpedic back in the day, and we would go right to the retailer's doorstep. We would do, consumer-facing things.
Wow.
But the piece where I think is going to tie it into Relief Bed is that's when I really started doing a lot of outreach, and we did tornado, outreach where we would donate beds, normal beds, the kind of beds that we all sell, to the families that suffered from that. We did fire station makeovers. And so I started really getting excited about this space. But there's a lot of product that's available for those kind of things. And so I thought, what could I do that's a little bit uniquely different? And that's kind of what started the engine around Relief Bed, because our beds are completely for emergency shelters and for disaster relief and things like that. So that's a kind of a shorter version of it, but that's where the life came from: foam to mattresses to doing things and doing outreach, and then having that outreach turn into what has turned into a great mission.
I love everything about it. And you're a big deal in this industry. Well, and you walk around Vegas and they're like, fan. Oh, look at that Scott Smalling, look at him. You're truly a big deal, and you're very connected, but you've also earned your stripes in this industry. You're not just a guy in the corner. Like you've done a lot to get to this point with adjustable beds, with, I want to get into Relief Bed, but I want to get into that before Relief Bed, like you've worked for some big companies.
Yep.
You've helped big companies with Comfortpedic. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's fun.
Still going on.
Yeah, Comfortpedic's still a brand. I really enjoyed my time with Simmons. And then it's when I parted ways that I actually spent a year to kind of get Relief Bed up and going. That's not a thing that necessarily pays the bills. It's purely a 501c3 nonprofit. So a little pitch. But then I went to work for companies like a company out of Korea where we brought in a smart technology to the industry and really learned about how that adjustable comfort world works. And then what I'm most blessed with is about almost a year now ago, Emma, who's based out of, as you know, is based out of Germany. They tapped me to run retail in the U.S. and we're just loving it. So we're just having a great time.
And you guys are one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, a little pitch for Emma. Just became the largest D2C brand in the world. 35 countries, big top line sales, and just amazing founders. Little pitch out to Manu and Dennis, the founders. Just an amazing, completely game-changing organization than what maybe we've all become used to. Kind of like Snooze, in the sense that you guys are shaking it up and doing some crazy things and doing it all right. So,
yeah, I mean, I love that. I appreciate that. And from an Emma standpoint, I mean, been around 7 years.
Yeah.
And from America's standpoint, we know of Purple, this direct-to-consumer, big Purple marketing company. It's amazing what they do.
Sure.
But Emma's actually bigger than them.
Yeah.
And in America, we've not heard of Emma yet. But they're coming in hot right now.
That's why we're here.
We had dinner in Vegas, with you and those guys, and I was super impressed. Young guys, energetic as heck, but really they're here to shake up the industry a little bit.
Absolutely.
And again, that's our goal in life. It's Snooze Mattress Company. Our goal is to shake it up. This industry is a little stagnant. It's been around for a long time, and there's nobody that's trying to push it and push it to the edge. And what can we do differently? And how do we have a different experience? And how do we truly care about sleep and the end consumer than it is just selling a rectangle and trying to make a commission? It's a different game that we're in. And that's, we've been talking about mattresses and sleep all day long. And I think that's what I love about you is you got so many ideas. I got so many visions. Like together, I think we can reinvent this whole thing, but we got to stick in a lane sometimes,
Absolutely.
But there's so many things that'll help consumers sleep at the end of the day and that will really, really help change the game.
Right. I was telling you earlier, and I think the listeners will get a kick out of this because obviously ADHD is a big deal. OCD, obsessive compulsive, is a big deal, and I'm not making light of any of it because I have it. But what's cool when you have both, right? You're not just constantly, like I'm assuming you may struggle a little bit with ADHD. You're a busy guy,
A lot of it.
It's a complete gift to people that have it. But that will tend to make people like kind of bounce from different subjects. Hey, there's a fly. But what's beautiful about having the balance of OCD and ADHD is as you start to obsess on something, you're only there for about 30 seconds before you're like, fly,
right?
And you're over here,
yes.
or ball, like from that one movie Up.
I love it.
Yes. So that's been, of course, a gift that I've had. As you say, I've got my fingers in a lot of pies and just doing a lot of things. And that's what I think keeps me motivated. I think that's an asset that I bring to the companies that I work for
sure.
Because I'm not just focused on one thing. I can bring a lot of different things to them, and I think I'm a bigger asset for them than I would be if I just performed one function. Even if you do that function well,
absolutely.
I think if you're out there, because if I'm in a different group, I can pull what I'm doing over to that segment. So it's exciting.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love everything about it. So. Based out of Seattle area.
That's the best way to put it. It's Tacoma.
Seattle-ish. Tacoma.
Made famous from Stripes when John Candy said Tom Tuttle, Tacoma, Washington. If you that dates it for a lot of people out there. People are going Stripes.
Love it.
I don't remember that movie.
I love it. I love it. And family.
Yeah.
Love to travel. What do you do for fun?
What's funny is my family's great. I've got a wife of almost 30 years, and 10 years of the best years of my life. And she loves when I say that joke. I don't know if you picked up on that or not, but they'll be like, "How long have you been married?" I've been married 30 years, and it's the 10 best years of my life. And they're just like, "That's not cool." And it's like, "Yeah, but it's funny." That's really all that matters is if it's funny.
I get it.
Son Hunter, daughter Sharky. That's her actually given name. It's been a great name for her. Sharky, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah. Sharky and Hunter. So at one point we had a sailboat, and the name of the sailboat was Shark Hunter. And so people would actually, think, that's kind of a cool name. You're out looking for sharks. No, that's our kids' names.
That is so great.
And we live in the Northwest. We love, if you ask me what we like to do for fun and relax, it would be sailing. We have a little thing. I know you like to be down the Caribbean when you can. We have what's called the Caribbean of the Northwest. It's called the San Juan Islands, and it truly is a boater's paradise. It doesn't have beaches and pina coladas, but it's just a beautiful island. So we've got orca whales and just amazing fauna up there, and so that's where a lot of the boaters will boat. That's what we do for fun, and then we've just basically by our own sweat and tears have built a ranch where we live, and we do all the work out there. So during this time of year when the grass is growing all over the place, that's my relaxation. Is it takes me 3 days to mow our property,
Wow.
and I just sit out there like Tom Hanks in that movie where he was on his lawnmower, and just sit there and mow.
I love
But
it.
you know what happens during those lawn mowing sessions?
What happens?
Come up with a lot of ideas.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. That's your little yoga, your meditation.
It is. It's called
You gotta
mower
have
yoga.
it. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
All right. So, super dad, super husband, 30 years. That's an accomplishment of its own. That's pretty special. So, congrats on that. Relief bed. Let's talk about relief bed. This is a big deal. There's a lot of special things going on with this, but the whole world needs to know about relief bed. And
Yeah.
tell us, you're the brainchild, but there's a lot to this. So, tell us, what is relief bed?
All right. So Relief Bed was founded in 2015, like I had mentioned, after I left my post at Simmons and really wanted to do something to give back. And so what we did is we created beds. We have probably 3 different beds, but we've kind of narrowed it down now to one bed that really is the workhorse. And we wanted to donate beds to homeless shelters and to disaster relief. So fast forward, 7 years almost since we started Relief Bed, we've distributed more than 31,000 beds to homeless shelters in the United States and now to relief projects worldwide. With our favorite project only being about a month ago, we proactively did this. Thank goodness, we had some donations come in to kind of back us up after the fact, but we donated 1,000 of these beds to Ukraine with partners of World Vision and Convoy of Hope. They actually accepted those donations. And how we work is we can only do this work here. We can't have people on our team over there. We're not that big. So we partner with major organizations, again, World Vision, Convoy Hope, those kind of folks, and they actually have the boots on the ground. They have the warehouses. So those beds were shipped to Poland, and now as we speak, they're distributing the beds into pop-up shelters and things like that. So really proud of that. In fact, I have a gift for you. I brought you a gift.
Prove it.
You ready for it?
Let's go. What do you got?
I love the prove it thing.
I love it because people say stuff. I want to see it. What? You got a gift.
So this is Relief Bed. This is actually the second time we made hats. We really didn't have hat merch. But what's unique about this hat is the Ukrainian blue and yellow flag that's become so popular everywhere in the world because of all the love sent around to them. It's actually a commemorative hat for you.
I love that.
And I brought some for the
it.
team here at Snooze. I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
That's awesome. No, I love this and I appreciate this. I love what you stand for.
Yeah. So, me, again, we talked about the ADHD. I'm going to try to bring it back around to where you were. But we started off, funny story, we started off, one of our first projects was in San Francisco. And we had a bed that's similar to the bed that you've seen today. We're going to show in a little bit here, which is a self-inflating foam and air technology, like a high-end camping mat. They're perfect because they're cleanable. They're waterproof. You can stow them. They can deploy them. They're what is it called? Insulate from the ground. So they do all those wonderful things. So my first project outside of the Seattle area was in San Francisco, and there's an organization down there called Lava May, which in Spanish I believe means wash me. And what this person had created, which is extraordinary, is they had retrofitted metropolitan buses to be a shower and a dressing and basically a shaving type place for the homeless. So they'd park the buses in the city. They would then hook up a hose to the sewer, if you will. The people would go in and they would be able to shower and clean up. And then they asked if we'd come down and partner with them, and then give them a relief bed when they got off the bus. As like it's not a parting gift, but you know what I mean. It's like a gift for them to help them survive. Well, there was, I'm not going to say what office it was, but there was some people in the offices of the city that were down there that were covering this. The media was there. I had Fox News come down. I had a friend, Julie, who's been the anchor down in San Francisco for years for Fox, come down and cover it. So there was some attention there. And the people with the city offices came up to me and they said, Scott, this is wonderful what you're doing. But you never want to hear the but, right?
Right.
But two things you may not know. And remember, I'm the fresh rookie, just all excited, want to go save the world and want to be just this, great guy. And they're like, number one, there's value to these things. I mean, these things retail are $125. They're no joke, right? They said, so first of all, if somebody has that on the street, they actually could get beat up, maybe even killed by somebody else who would want to take that from them. So imagine me hearing that. I'm like, whoa. And then the second part, which was a little self-fulfilling for them, is I didn't mind being the Robin Hood if I could deploy these beds, but not under that other circumstance, is they said, and by the way, we also don't want you to help them camp on our streets. It's like, well, it's nice seeing you guys. But the good news is from there, we really turned a corner and got guidance. As you as an entrepreneur, you're constantly taking, great ideas and just
Absolutely
honing it into your craft. Is we really have never given away a bed on the street again. Everything came about us supporting homeless shelters. And there's a bunch of reasons why, but the main ones are, one, from that horrible story that I heard could happen. But the more important thing is that the shelters are the ones who are doing the work, right? They're in that city, they're there to stay. They need the beds for where they'll reconvert their dining room or their gymnasium for cold nights or for whatever. And these beds get deployed out on the ground and they can be stowed away. But they're the ones doing the work on the alcohol issues or the mental illness, or the veterans that have issues. They're doing the work. So it helped us really focus on, all right, we're going to donate these in bulk to these shelters that need them and that maybe don't have funding for this. And then they can redivert the funding that they didn't have to spend to get the beds for things that are important, like the alcohol awareness or helping them with mental awareness type thing. So it really helped us turn a corner. And I will be honest, there is some, donors that actually maybe don't understand homelessness like I've learned to understand it, because we still work on the streets. And I'll tell you about that a little bit later, about what we do on the streets now. But they may not look at them in the same lens that we look at them, which is, what was their life like? Was there a broken home? Was there, a bad father? Was there alcohol abuse? What created this person to end up on the street? And so that's the lens that we look through. So it's a lens of love. And so I think I'm losing my way here, but there is some donors. I think what I was saying is that don't really appreciate homelessness. And so by us giving them to the shelters that are doing the work in those cities, it kind of helped those potential donors to kind of more embrace us. But it wasn't done for that. It was just a nice side benefit, because there was some people that weren't big fans of us going out and giving out the beds on the street. So little side story there on how we kind of got to where we are.
I love it. So, obviously you've done recurring. We'll talk into that in a minute too, but
Sure.
that's what we're in. That's the weird, crazy part of the world that we live in right now. And it's just, war is disgusting to me, and to see this stuff going on right now, and for somebody like you to come in and really make a difference, because you and I we understand the importance of sleep,
right?
And
Absolutely.
it affects everything from a homeless guy to potentially not being homeless to somebody that might be in the battle, whatever it may be. Being ready and refreshed and your mental strength makes a difference,
right.
But relief bed, you said 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about the homeless, you've talked about a few things, but why did you create this? Where did this come from? Like, it was, you woke up one day and said, I can help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I knew that there is a decent amount of manufacturing and beds available, whether they're return mattresses or whether people just make them. There's a large contingent of people that could make beds if they needed to go into a more long-term shelter. No different than the beds we sell, right? That infrastructure is there to donate and or to sell, but there was very little beds available, not just for donating. There was very little beds that were available for the space. Nobody was building something that was, you can't, no offense to the great beds that Snooze sells and that Emma sells, but you aren't going to go spray it with a fire hose.
Right.
Maybe once, and so the fact that it's cleanable, and the fact that it's, antimicrobial, and the fact that we also, unless we have a C3 machine, and for most people who listen, they'll know what that is, but some people don't, you're not going to roll your mattress back up and put it back in the box either. Right. And so this way they can store it, this way they can ship it and move it around. For example, Ukraine, that it's going to be such a blessing for them, because if a shelter has to move, they're not going to have these big floppy, beds that they've got to stack and move around. They're going to have little nice rolls that they can move around. You want me to show it to you?
You've got one here.
I've got one here.
Prove it. Let's go. Come on. Yeah, how does it work? You know, that is definitely a question. I mean, how does this thing go together? So that's it. It's tiny.
It is tiny.
It literally can fit in under a bed. It can fit very small spots. But
so it has a stuff sack, which is kind of just nice.
That is great. The size of it is.
And then basically, you know, a lot of people that have done any type of you know, camping, or some people would consider this glamping. The real true mountaineers, they would probably never take something this big and hike Pikes Peak or whatever. But what the really unique thing is inside of here, this is not something where you're going to have a CO2 tank, or you're gonna mouth breathe into this thing. That literally there is foam inside of here, and by opening up the valve, and now this right now you'll notice nothing's happening, right?
Right.
So this is a patented 3-way valve that the patent holder that owns, and in there this valve right now is turned so that the air cannot come in. So while I'm rolling this bed up, air is being pressed out, right? You're squeezing the foam, air is coming out. You experienced that earlier.
I did.
But when I turn the valve, you have two choices. I can just turn it sideways and it's just kind of free flowing, or I can turn it all the way around and then the air will only go out. It won't be able to come back in. So you could hear audibly the air, and this is going to like kind of develop in front of us. But we're not doing anything here. We're just basically opening that up. And is it? I'm assuming I've got it open, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So right in front of you, this bed is fully becoming back to its 3-inch thickness. And we didn't do anything. We didn't add any pressure to it. And then the only other thing that's unique, that's very, very personal to me, is we had a trifold before this. And because your shoulders are going to hit here in your head, and your hips are going to hit here, and your legs are going to hit here, we actually have a delineation in the bed. So when this is at maybe say half the amount of air it needs, it can actually fold and be stacked, which some people don't want to roll the whole thing back up and stow it away. That would be for shipping or long-term storage. But this, if you just knock about half the air out of it, you can fold it up and have it stacked over in the corner. So that's a relief bed. And this is, again, it's foam and air. So you're insulated from the ground. You will not feel the cold ground because of the foam. And it's super comfortable. And it's just an awesome bed.
Yeah, and I will tell you, like, as long as I've been in the industry, this is new to me. And today, when you pulled this out, I'm like, is that really doing that?
He's like, where are the secret?
And it really does. Like, this is look how thick that is, and it's not plugged in. There's no motor on this thing. It truly is just using air and the right kind of foam. Obviously, you didn't just figure this out and throw it in there. You've tried and tried and tried, but the right density foam, the right air, and it comes in and out. It's.
So it really works great. I mean, you check all the boxes. I've said this before, but you've got waterproof. This, if we poured water, we don't want to do it to your nice room here, but this would literally just like mercury. You've seen that. Oh, here we go. Let's do it. Bam! Look at that. Just beat off of there.
I'm gonna get in some trouble for that one.
So as this podcast ends, it's been nice having everybody in the podcast. Literally, the water spilled on his. What do you call that?
They're gonna be mad at me for that. That was
yes. That's gonna make this, that.
Remember that one time I busted up the whole podcast?
That is awesome. Well,
hey, it still works. We're still on. There's no electricity getting shot in the air. There's just a little bit of dampness. So
shout out to Rode and their computer panels, the fact that they're waterproof. Nobody knew that, but they know that now.
Yes, not only are the beds waterproof, but Rodes are 100% waterproof. We should have.
Only Matt Smith.
It's not the first time or the last time we're going to destroy something.
No, I told you today when we came. I said something was. I did say somebody was going to get hurt today because of your history with pillow fights.
Yes,
but I didn't know something was going to get hurt.
Somebody and something. It might be a pillow fight. We have a lot of time together still, and it's been so fun. You came to the 905 this morning.
Oh my goodness!
We streamed in a big circle. You saw our crazy crew around here.
It was like a Zumba class. I mean, everybody was just I need to learn each one of their job titles so I know why you called certain people certain names with a clap or a hoo-ah or a hunze, or something.
Hunze. I like it. A little bit of that, a little bit of this. But you're welcome to come as much or as little as you want.
Yeah.
So, so, I mean, relief bed, where are these at?
So reliefbed.com, it is a 501c3, so we're not actively selling these. We can't really sell them to people, for camping and things like that. But people can go on there and they can help support the mission. And they can donate, and then if they want, which is really super cool, we love when we get these, is when they donate, if they ask for it, we can actually ship it to them, We hope they're going to give it away because that's the intention. But a lot of people do that. They want to go out and give to bed to their local shelter, whatever. And honestly, if they give it to somebody on the street, maybe they've seen the same person over and over again, that's completely fine. I mean, it's just not the mission that we do as the entity.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to do that, but I mentioned to you that we do some street ministry, and you've obviously heard of Sleepless in Seattle, the movie.
Absolutely.
Obviously. So we thought it'd be cute to go and do something called Tired in Tacoma.
I like it.
And so when we go out now, maybe once a year or whatever, we bring a stuff sack similar to the stuff sack this goes in.
Okay.
And inside there, in the foam factory, I told you that we have a yoga mat. Literally, it's a yoga mat. We don't sell yoga mats, but it's closed cell neoprene foam. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, but it's manufacturing fall off. So when we scythe off the buns of these closed cell buns, we end up getting these closed cell foam mats, very similar to a camping mat that you'd put under your sleeping bag to block the ground or whatever. But it goes into the garbage. And when I came back from my time with Simmons and I was spending more time back in the family business again, I looked at the dumpster loads of these skinned mats going, no pun to your name, skin mats going into the dumpster. And I'm like, this is crazy. So we took them out of the dumpster and we cut them almost the exact size of our bed here, 25 by 75. And so those go out. And so it's a temporary love gift on the street versus something that would be a long-term thing. And nobody's going to get, I don't think, hurt with this little closed cell mat. So in the bag is circled in there is the closed cell mat, which we call a relief pad or something. And then inside of there, depending on the season, during the winter, there'll be a pair of gloves, a winter hat, a rain slicker. You've seen those metallic blankets where they reflect your body heat. So if you wrap them around yourself, you can stay warm in horrible temperatures. So there's about 9 love gifts in there. And then if we have a group with us, we'll put, peanut butter sandwiches in there and bottled waters. And then we'll go out and give those out. Those are our way to stay connected to the street without doing, what the folks in San Francisco told us was probably not a good long-term plan.
Right.
But we still want to go out there and touch and understand the people that are ultimately benefiting from the relief bed. And I can tell you the stories are endless and the people are beautiful, wonderful people. And it really would break your heart to know kind of their backstories and things because it's not what people expect.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a favorite story of something that this truly made a difference? I mean, give me a relief fed story that besides Ukraine, I want a whole other topic about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because
there's a ton. And I think the biggest story is this wasn't available, right? So you're having people, these shelters are having to take raw foam if they want to have what they'll call their emergency centers. And there just wasn't things built to be used that could be reused, cleaned, stored. They're putting blankets over raw foam. And as you know, is better than anybody, raw foam accepts moisture, accepts bacteria, all those kind of things. So it's not a long-term game plan. So it was these very broad amount of crazy things that they were using. So Relief Bed in general actually added an asset that they could use over and over and over again and have the people be comfortable. But multiple stories. I mean, we've done work in Mongolia. We've done work, obviously, now in Ukraine. Almost every named hurricane that we've had, which we've had some crazy storms here. I mean, if you think about it, we, the disaster relief side of Relief Bed, the homeless side is simple. There's over 500,000 people living unsheltered in the U.S. Think about that. And so there's a big need. But we also wanted to have the disaster relief side and the hurricane side. There's been, some big storms here in the last 4 or 5 years. And so every one of them, we've had a partner that have taken the beds down and helped people in their temporary shelters have a place that's at least somewhat comfortable. And you said something a minute ago, and my wife would be completely disappointed in me if I didn't say it. It's almost like you get $1 every time you say it. So I'm looking in the camera.
Do it.
This is for you, Carolyn.
Carolyn, this is for you.
Yeah. Sleep is the number 3 biological need. And that's a true statement. You should probably have your RSAs talk about it. Basically, you've got food, you've got water, you're dead without those 2 over a period of time. And then it's a proven fact. If you do not sleep, I mean, I'm talking period, right? I mean, the
Right.
Marines prove it. They'll keep you up all night, and they'll go to try to get people trained for that kind of warfare. But if you do not sleep over a long enough period of time, you're dead.
100%.
You're dead.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because we talk about that in our training. We say 4 things. We say air is the other one.
Well, okay, good point.
So
All right,
we do
you
say
need air.
4, but I love that because it's funny that the human body, if you will not force yourself to eat if you're starving yourself, it cannot force you to grab some water if you're thirsty, and it cannot force you to start taking an air if you're underwater. But it will shut itself down.
It will.
If you are not sleeping on day 7 or day 8, you will start falling asleep. It doesn't care if you're in your kid's band game or soccer game, whatever it may be. Your body will shut down.
Absolutely. Or in a meating with you.
A meeting together,
I
like
fall asleep,
100%. But it's so true. Like sleep is so important, and even if it's not even like how you need it after so many times of death, but if you don't get it, it affects everything you do.
Absolutely.
The money making, whatever your goals are in life.
Sure.
We talk about Dr. Moss who wrote The Power of Sleep.
He's great.
You know that, and he talks about the Olympic athletes that could never get past silver until they go train with him, and he's like, well, how much you sleeping?
Right.
And they're like, well, I'm training 20 hours a day and I'm sleeping 4. And he's like, well, try to sleep 8 and train 16, see what happens.
Right.
Gold medal.
Isn't that crazy?
Just like that. It's just the power of your body needs to recharge. We need this stuff, and you probably don't know how of an impact you're having, but there is no doubt you are changing lives. There is no doubt that there's somebody that got that because they weren't sleeping, now we're sleeping, opened their mind to something new and got them out of a situation that they weren't in before this. So
interesting that you say that, how you said that, because our little catchphrase, everybody has a catchphrase, right?
Yeah.
Is changing lives one bed at a time.
Love that.
And
So
I
true.
agree with you. It could be saving lives in a rare situation, because we kind of touched on it a second ago. But a lot of the healing processes the body goes through is all done during the night.
Yeah.
And so that's when these things are happening. Your body is healing itself and goes through some crazy processes. And so think about the people that have been in a tornado or a situation. Maybe they're just displaced, but maybe they're also injured. So if they're then adding the fact that they're not getting any kind of good sleep, the time of them getting back to a normal way of just mentally functioning, regardless if they've got a place to live yet, they need to be back to mentally functioning and feeling good to be able to operate and to build back to where they want to be. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Bunch of sleep nerds going to talk about sleep here for a second.
Let's go into sleep geek.
So it's Ukraine. I mean, this is such a crazy time in our lives right now, and I tell everybody, like, I don't care what our problems are, we are blessed to be born in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The biggest problems I have in this building, I'm not getting bombed, and there is not, it is crazy out there. And you've literally just donated, or they were donated, thousands of bed to Ukraine.
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
From the day things started, and I think this is, I'm not going to be political because that's not who I am, but this is not obviously the first war. I mean, no question about it. War is happening in a lot of countries. I don't know what makes this one different. I really don't. Right, at least to me, and maybe it's the how much public publicity it's been getting, or how much it's in our face. Maybe it's a time of my life. I don't know what it is, but I have wept over this horrific situation. And I have to say, one of the things that I really like is that how much the world has responded in a positive way around the Ukrainian people. It's been really cool, because I would say the only thing, and this isn't political, it's just, it maybe is in the realm of that, is that any country that makes decisions and does different things, you're not always, have lots and lots of friends with the decisions you make. But in this situation, it's really cool how the majority of the world has responded to them and is trying to aid them and trying to help them. And there's a large portion of that country that's not in that country anymore. And if anybody needs a gold star, it's the people. And I know there's other countries like Romania, but Poland. I mean, those folks, those wonderful people. I got to tell you a quick story, actually.
Please do.
And if you haven't seen this, I challenge you to go out and watch this in the next couple weeks. It's on Netflix. Netflix. There's so many streaming. You know how many streaming things I have in my house? I mean, it's stupid. Anyways, it's called Come From Away. It was a Broadway play in New York for years and years. But the premise of the story, now it's a movie, but you're kind of watching a Broadway play. It's about the people of Newfoundland. And if you didn't know this, I'm getting goosebumps because the story is so cool. At the time of 911, when the buildings came down and they shut down the airspace, they landed 38, and I'm not going to get it right for the people that are, geeking out on the story and they know the exacts, but I'm close. 38 jumbo jets at the airport in Newfoundland, which, by the way, was the airport where everybody coming from Europe had to land to get into the United States back in their early days of flight because they couldn't make it here with enough fuel to get into the U.S. So this was this massive airport. I mean, queens, kings, rock stars, everybody landed in Newfoundland and then jumped down here. So they diverted all these planes in Newfoundland. There was 7,000 people. Forgive me again when I'm off by a few numbers. 7,000 people on these planes. They were getting maybe one plane a day for whatever the plane was doing there, and then they get 38 big planes. 7,000 people get off these planes, and there's 9,000 people in the town that live there. For 4 or 5 days, they housed those people and fed those people and entertained those people with whatever realm they had, and it just is the most beautiful story. And now, people will go back up there and they raise scholarship money for these people for how wonderful they were. And that's how I look at what's happening in Poland and Romania and different countries, is these people are superstars for what they've done. So my hat is off to them. Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. So you sent 1,000 beds there?
Yep. 1,000 beds are there.
There's 1,000 beds
right
now.
I'm actually, I hate to say it, selfishly, I'm waiting for the pictures because I want to see it, right?
Yeah.
I know it's there, but I really want to see the photos of them being deployed. But yeah, they're sitting there, and it's great. I love it. It's my favorite project I've ever done. And normally what I'll do, if there's something where I can tangibly be a part of it, I'll go there. Right?
Yeah.
If it's something in the U.S. or whatever, but I want to be a part of it, hands and feet, right? So this one I've been a little bit more, just watching from the bleachers. So I'm looking forward to seeing some photos.
Love it. Well, we sincerely appreciate all you're doing out there.
Hey, no worries.
I realize what a big deal that is, and it's a lot of time and energy on your part to make all this kind of stuff happen. So
sure.
For sure.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. So let's we were talking earlier, like give me some fun stories in the last 7-10 years. Give me some good stuff. Tell the audience some stories you got.
All right. So I think again, it was probably me diverting with the ADHD, but so I talked about the road shows.
Yeah.
But I talked about them when I was doing it at retail, as a part of a commercial company.
For sure.
So about 2016, a little bit dumbed down. We didn't have quite the budget, but I live on a ranch, so I've got like a dually, to pull stuff around. We took a horse trailer, but the big ones, that you can have 3 or 4 horses in, you got a little place to live.
Yeah.
And I noticed my wife wasn't using it a whole lot. And I said, "Hey, Carolyn," I go, "You gonna miss this?" Our horses at our place, you think they're at a spa. They don't get ridden a lot. They're a little bit older, and so are you going to use this? I said, let's sell it if you're not going to use it. And she said, I don't know if we're going to use it a lot. So I said, all right. So I went, just like NASCAR, I had the whole thing skinned out. So the whole thing was skinned out for relief bed, had some great images on it. We had some people who sponsored it and things. And we drove that around 7 western states, 5,000 miles, and would stop. The whole horse trailer portion where the horses would normally be, yes, we cleaned it out very well, was just stuffed to the gills with relief beds. And so we would go from homeless shelter to homeless shelter, depending on where we were in the States, and we would drop those off. We did a killer, more or less an awareness gig at Long Beach in California. They had a pirates encounter, is what they call it. And you want to talk about people, you've seen Comic-Con, and those people go deep. I mean, they go deep. These people, this is a lifestyle for these folks, right? There was beautiful tents in the beach. There was women dressed up as mermaids. There was men, of course, in pirate gear. There was the horn, drinking glasses. There was drinking going on. Well, we wanted to have a booth there and, talk about homelessness, but there was some commercial booths there. Well, they said, what you didn't know by agreeing to have a booth here and showcase your stuff, we weren't selling anything, is you had to dress up. So we literally went to a dollar store type of a clothing, aftermarket store, and we spent probably $100 and bought killer clothes, right? And then bought jars of jewelry. So we Johnny Depp the heck out of this thing, right? I mean, we could buy a thing of cosmetic jewelry for like $9 here. it's where everybody pours their stuff into, and we were just regaled in all this pirate gear. So we've got great photos and memories from that. So there was fun, consumer touching facing things. There was the donations that were done along the way. And it's just good stuff. And then then another thing you'd love, in fact, I need to pull you into this, into an event, is during the things like the Oscars and the Emmys and the Golden Globes, they have those gift lounges, right? And a lot of times they'll have a charity partner that'll be there doing something. So we've actually been able to be a partner doing these gift lounges. So we've got photos with just some of the biggest talent in Hollywood, who come by and they'll take a picture, and then a bed will be donated on their behalf as they're then going and getting a free watch and whatever else, is at the gift lounge. So really fun stuff we've got ourselves involved with that's kind of the non, the non-charitable side, more of the create the awareness around homelessness so that people are more sensitive to it. Yeah.
Love it. Being a mattress nerd like us, tell me, mattress geek, mattress nerd, we call it nerds, you call it geeks.
Yeah.
It's an ish. It's an ish. Tell me, where do you think the mattress industry is headed? Like, you've seen it in my 20 years, I've seen it gone from brick and mortar to this crazy online craze to now back heavily into brick and mortar. So now people are trying to do a little combination, but mostly back to brick and mortar, because we've learned that people want to touch and feel the bed. They want to lay on it. They want to make sure that they like this bed before they ship it to their house and have to go through all the headaches of returning and all of that side of the world. So where do you think the industry's headed, and what are you excited about in this industry?
Honestly, if we're speaking the U.S. market, obviously that's where we are. Most competitive market, in the world. I'm blessed to be a part of the Emma team, and we're in 35 countries around the world. Obviously, the innovation is going into every one of those countries, but the U.S. is by far, in a way, the most challenging, the most competitive, and the most innovative market. And I'm sorry to any country that disagrees with me, but that is true here. It's a crazy market. There's 170 online players. So the answer to your question is you've got to differentiate yourself. And however you're doing that, like how you're going out and aggressively attacking it with Snooze, or how we want to do it is bringing innovation into the marketplace, and just bringing things that aren't seen. So whether you're online and showing that customer something unique, like companies have done in the past, like a Purple or whatever, they did a great job, is you got to bring something different to the table. And that could be in the form of a service. That could be in the form of, selfishly here, in a form of a cause marketing, right? So you're making a great bed. Yeah. You're having a great retail shop. But, we want to show that you're standing for something bigger. So maybe you're donating, a bed or a relief bed with the purchase of those mattresses. But I think coming down to, from a manufacturer standpoint, it's got to be innovation. And we got to push our industry to innovate more and more, because there's a lot of white rectangles out there. And there's a lot of good feeling beds, but they,
for sure,
they're just same.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, that's with Snooze, that's our ultimate goal, is to make yourself obsolete or somebody else will.
Absolutely.
And this industry truly is very stagnant, and it's been around for several generations sometimes. So they're all just fat cats. They're doing fine, and they don't need to change it at all. Like, sure. A lot of people are just making money and they're good with it, And I think what we have in so much common is we really believe that there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's 100% a better way to how people sleep at night. This isn't about selling a rectangle. This is truly about the future and about what's next and how we can continue to evolve and make ourselves better at what we do. And I think you put us in a room, I think we could spend 20 hours hanging out and just talking about sleep and sitting around a bonfire and really help change that. So that's, really what I love about you is your passion for what we do. There's not a lot of people that really are trying to shake this up and not just get by.
Right.
You're definitely shaking this up. Even at lunch, you told me several inventions you're working on, several different things. And I'm in the same boat. Like I have so many things over there that I've drawn in schematics and different pillows and sheets and mattress pads and how do we change this and this.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you got to find good partners like this. Like, you got to find good people and people that believe in what we believe in, the culture. There's no doubt when I told the team when you got here, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing together. We're doing something.
Absolutely.
There is no doubt. In the end of this, you are special. You are our kind of people. You fit our culture. You're a good man. And we'll just figure out what's from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the only reason that I wanted to join Emma, is because they are paradigm
100%.
shifter as a company, and they're doing things completely different and attacking it from different directions. Or else I wouldn't have done it, because I've got an entrepreneurial spirit. Obviously you do, but you're deploying your entrepreneurial spirit. And I would not have gone to work for a traditional mattress company again, right? Because I'm on in my years. But this was special. This is a unique opportunity. It's a unique company, and where the U.S. may not have a big knowledge of Emma today, just because we haven't done a lot in the U.S. yet. This is, the biggest market, but
hold this beer.
The big yet.
It's coming in hot.
Emma's going to be well known shortly.
I mean, you're the number one in the world.
Yeah.
Bigger than Purple.
You said that, I didn't, but
that's a big deal worldwide.
I think the numbers may work there, but
the data says that. I don't say that. The data says that. That's a big deal. So that's a lot to be proud of. But and in a very short period of time, they've done a good job. Who's your hero?
We're going to get biblical all of a sudden, because
Go for it.
Jesus is my biggest hero.
Love it.
And lots of people have lots of opinions here, but I think really if you just look at the teachings and you take it just as simple as that. Like I wouldn't call myself. Well, I'm not a Catholic, and then nothing wrong there. That's great, but it's just following those teachings.
Yeah.
So just kind of more of a Bible believing guy. I think that is also. In fact, on my business card and on the bottom of the website, it's 1 Peter. Sorry, I'm going to screw it up. But basically, it's about taking the gifts that you have, and then using those gifts. If God's given you certain gifts, if you're responsible to go out and use those gifts to help other people, that's a responsibility that we have. And so I'm learning about sleep. I'm creating mattresses. So what's my responsibility? Going out and helping people with sleep. So that is my hero. That is my role model. That's my example. Like everybody else in the world, we're all sinners. So I definitely am not. I don't claim to be that guy who's trying to be perfect, but I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that. Favorite book?
Oh, you know what? So I got to tell you a funny story on that. I always got a funny story, and that's me diverting away from reading. But I've got a cousin, and I love this story, and I hope I can make it short. But my cousin is the head of pediatric neurosurgery at Vanderbilt. Okay, so big job. I mean, like I think he's even done some conjoined. I'm sorry. I underplayed him. Yeah, pediatric neurosurgery. But we're talking the brain, right? I think he's even done some conjoined stuff, right? I mean, we're talking about Ben Carson type stuff, right? I mean, I think they know each other. So he's a great guy. Well, he wrote a book, and he's a funny guy. And he told me he wrote a book. So I went on to Amazon and I bought his book, which is not coming out until about June. And he's got a great personality. And I said, this book's going to look really good on my shelf. I mean, it's going to look really good up there. Well, the funny thing about Amazon is they now are tracking me like they do, right? So they think I read. So I called my cousin. I said, Jay, we got an issue here. He goes, what's the issue? I go, I bought 4 books. I expect you to sign all of them. Like I would like you to sign Dad Entrepreneur.
Sure, Dad Entrepreneur, I will, yes.
Yeah. And it'll look good on my shelf too, but I'll probably read yours because yours actually will be funny. And I think Jay's is going to be funny. I just didn't know if it was going to be a lot of stuff on science.
Yeah.
So here's the funny part, if that wasn't kind of funny, is that not only is Amazon, I said, Jay, I go, here's the problem. Not only does Amazon think I read, which I don't have a lot of time to do that because I read a lot of business type stuff. I said the worst part is they think I read nerdy stuff.
That's so great.
So I'm getting that
so
Amazon
great.
suggests that you buy, chemist, gone wild or something.
Yes. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, and that
I don't read a lot, so
I don't either. Have you ever done Audible?
I do like Audible. I am actually right now, for the first time in my life, done lots of bits and pieces, actually trying to read my way through the Bible. Which they break it up into you read a little Old Testament, you read a little New Testament, and it makes it a little bit more palatable. So I'm trying to do that. I do have a favorite book out there. I'm just putting me on the spot, but I don't spend a lot of time reading.
No, and it's funny you say that because I mean ADD as well, ADHD. I
go to sleep.
I went to school 4 times or college 4 times and dropped it all 4 times, and that was it. I couldn't focus. I've never been able to focus. I never graduated college because of that. And then honestly, when I started Audible, that changed my life.
Yeah.
Like Audible was like, oh, okay. This is how I learned.
Cool, yeah.
This is how I learned. It's listening. I can't read because I'll read the same thing 10 times and not know what the heck I just read.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm with you 100%. And,
Yeah.
and I wish I could be a reader. I always wanted to be a reader when I grew up.
Yeah, and even today, I would rather read a book. Right?
Yeah.
I wanted to have that tangible feel. My daughter's
Yeah.
a massive reader. I mean,
Okay,
like,
that's great.
Crazy reader.
Heard great things.
And so like we went on a trip for several days just recently, and she read a 1,000-page book. I'm like, I couldn't read a 1,000-page book in 3 years. And she read it in 4 or 5 days. You know, so crazy. It's just different people. You know.
Yeah. So this podcast is called Dream Big. We've got Jake Jobs. I was telling you about that on a couple of weeks. We've had Dr. Dermer, Jeffrey Dermer, who is the Olympic sleep doctor. But he is the Olympic sleep doctor. He would literally help change people's circadian rhythm when they left from the United States to go over to China and teach them how to get that changed before they started the Olympics.
Right.
We were able to get him on there. You know, we've had a lot of cool people that had to sleep
I don't think it's me.
Is that me? Anyway, that was dumb. I thought I vibrated. Anyway, so we've had a lot of good people out there, you know, and we're the goal of this is it's dream big, you know, and find the biggest dreamers and help inspire people out there that are working that way, if it's younger or if it's getting a second chance. But what does dream big mean to you?
You're supposed to ask me these things before the podcast so that I have a chance to
think about it.
To think about it a little bit.
What does dream big mean, though?
You know, so I'm going to change directions on the question a little bit.
Please do.
I think how I reach a goal, kind of the same thing, is I'm just going to hit it every single day at little bits and pieces. And then over time, they say, how do you eat a dinosaur, right?
Yep.
One bite at a time.
Absolutely.
And so how I dream big is I look at a goal and I say, okay, if that goal seems too hard to accomplish, I'll just kind of slowly but surely just chip away at it.
Yeah.
Just chip away at it, chip away at it. And then I will hopefully at some point reach, pretty close to that goal. But dreaming big is just, I think, just throwing myself into as many things as I possibly can. And yeah, hopefully I
dream as big as you can and break it into small goals.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Right.
It's another time. Hot mess, spilling water, phone's ringing.
It's still working, like you said. It's wonderful.
Just don't tell Chavez or Jacob or any of those guys that happened. But I think
automatically dried.
This either is going to be a great podcast or nobody's ever going to hear it because I broke it.
That's
right. I don't know what's going to happen here.
That's right.
But relief bed. How do we donate? How do people find you? What's next in the relief bed? Let's talk about that. Like
sure.
how do we?
Yeah, so real simple, reliefbed.com.
Okay.
If you want to go to .org, you can go there too. And it's very simple. There's donate buttons on there, and then there's just a choice of you want to donate 1 bed, 2 beds, 3 beds. If that, for some reason, for some donors is too much, there's, of course, like you can make a smaller gift, and then we'll just add those together to donate a bed. And then for businesses, which is really we want to partner with businesses. They can partner with Relief Bed and have, of course, in our business being sleep, they can then have a kind of a Tom Shoes, kind of a, one for one or less than that if they want, where they can actually be investing in the community to what they're selling in their stores. I always say, and I'm not going to use the example because my family's had some different health issues. And so you never want to challenge or talk about what people do with their donations, but in the sleep industry, we sell sleep, right? And so to me, it makes perfect sense to be focusing on that as where you're giving back. So that's one of the things we try to share with people is we hope that they would see this as a benefit.
Love it. Yeah. So hypothetically, if somebody wants to help Ukraine, we can go right to your website and donate something directly towards that cause.
In fact, you can, because there's a spot on there where you could say where you want it to go. For example, if somebody has a shelter in their town and they're donating 10 relief beds or whatever, they can actually put on there, please put to blah 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 rescue mission, and we'll see that and we can donate it directly there. One of the things that we're working on now, because unfortunately, as you and I both know, this war is not over. And the need's even going to be, people may think, well, sooner or later, you're not going to need the beds because they're not going to be housing people in Poland. Well, have you watched the news? Do you see what has happened to that country? People will probably want to go back to their communities as they rebuild their lives, but they're also going to have to live in some kind of a housing thing in their communities as they rebuild their homes or apartment complexes and things like that. So this is a long time from going away, which leads me to, we want to do another 1,000 and another 1,000, but we aren't going to be as cavalier as we were the first time and do it up front. And thankfully, we've raised most of the money to support that proactive gift. Now we kind of want to raise the money, and do it a little bit more, I'm clearing my throat for the right reasons, not to make a point, we're going to raise money for this to hopefully send another 1,000 beds over there. Because now we have the conduit, right? We know the organizations that are there on the ground. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be there for a long time. And so we'd love to keep sending beds there.
I love it, and I appreciate what you're doing. There's no doubt that, just hearing your story, seeing this stuff in person, Snooze is definitely a partner for life. We want to figure out how we can make sure we're donating as much through the beds, through the grand openings, through everything else. So,
That'd be so awesome.
If there's other people out there in this industry, there's no doubt there'll be people listening. Reach out to them at Relief Beds. They are doing something that our industry needs more of, and that is just changing the world and helping people that can't do this on their own. We are spoiled rotten when we can buy a $5 or $10 or $15,000 mattress in the United States. In some places, this is that Tempur-Pedic. This is that Emma. This is the Snooze. Like that's bed right here.
Yeah.
is giving them an out.
Absolutely. And thank you for this forum to talk about what we're doing. We were a small organization, so we don't have a lot of opportunities to share about what we're doing. So this is great. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. So what? Give me any parting words. This is no more questions. This is an audience of entrepreneurs, sleep people, future entrepreneurs, people that just dream big. Tell me. Is there any advice you want to give out there for the futures of our generations?
And I think the easiest one and the biggest layup, which by the way, in your basketball, I'm 2 for 2 out there shooting on your little hoop machine.
We'll play bags after this.
Just want to let you know. Is you've got to immerse yourself into something that you're giving back in whatever way that is. And we talked about the 1 Peter 4:10. I think I got it right, by the way. Use your gifts to give back, right? But what I just said, I believe to your wife at lunch, I believe I said it to Jenny, is that I don't have any bad days. We can feel bad, you can be sick or something, but I don't really have any bad days because my focus for the most part is on other people. And I don't mean that could be even sound egotistic. I don't mean that like, I'm such a great person. I just mean that my focus on a daily basis is either on, you've got to focus on your family, which is of course a little fun because that's what started in Colorado Springs. Shout out to Focus on the Family.
Yes.
But that's, so I think that's the biggest thing is they need to find their passions. And the old thing, if you do love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, but that's fine. You could love selling mattresses and you're making money at it. But if you're not doing something else in your life that's giving back to your community or whatever, I don't think you're going to be as fulfilled as you will be. And
Absolutely.
so that's what charges me on a daily basis, is having this organization that I know that is mine. I created it, but that I can pour myself into at times to give back, and that helps me be a better business person. Helps me be better the people I work for and the whole bit.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, and that's good advice for anybody out there. I believe that I always say all the time, like, you control every day. You make it a great day or you make it not. That's up to you. So what you said is perfect because you truly, when you wake up in the morning, you could be like, see every negative thing in your life and everybody else's life around you, or you can see the beauty of life,
Exactly.
But the fulfillment in life to me is family and filling cups, helping other people grow.
Absolutely.
Making a difference in this world is what we all want. The money and the vacations and all that stuff, it's all noise. You know what I mean? Yes, we're making memories and stuff, but the purpose is to make a difference. And that is truly what you're doing. And hold tight to your family because, you'll never get that time back. Absolutely not. So
Absolutely.
So Scott Smalling, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I know the journey's just begun. 9:05 meeting. We had a slopper together today. We're going to go have some competitions. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a pillow fight involved in the rest of the day, but
somebody's going to get hurt.
There might be some thrown in the Riverwalk. We got dinner ahead of us. We got a full planned day today. So God bless you, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
This is the man, the myth, the legend, the sleep legend, Scott Smalling. We are blessed to have you here in Pueblo, Colorado.
Thank you, sir.
You have listened to another version of the Dream Big podcast, where our goal in life is to find the biggest dreamers And this way, it is not just big dreamers, but we're big dreaming as well here.
Amen.
And help teach people how to get to that next level. So stay tuned for the next episode with the next amazing dreamer on this world. And today you listen to the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Smalling.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, my friend. Here we go.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, let's go.